Hey guys, it's Murs. Welcome back to Harpies in the Trees, where I review horror books with a supernatural focus. In today's episode, we have episode 4 of this series that I do where I share horror books written by indie authors who are either self-published or published with an indie publisher. These books come to me through a submission form that I created a little while ago where authors submitted their books. So this series will be sharing every single book that I get in that submission form. So it's going to be all different types of genres of horror. If you would like to submit your book, you can do so with the link down in the description. The only requirements is that it's horror, that you are an independent author, and you have a link for us to purchase your book. Also in the description box, there will be links to purchase all of the books that we'll be talking about today. Hopefully one or more grabs your attention and you can pick them up. It'll definitely make the author's day, and you know you're just helping someone on their dream. And speaking of helping, there is a booktuber who is in need of some help. Their name is Pax Panic. You may have heard about this already, but she has been diagnosed with cancer. And cancer sucks. And I'm really hoping that everything turns out for the best for her. But in the meantime, check out this video that Mr. Morningstar made. It gives you a little bit more information on Pax. And he also set up a GoFundMe. I have donated. If you have the resources, please donate. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this video. Before we get to the video, don't forget to like and comment down below. And if you would like to get more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. So for this very specific series, I send synopses to my patrons on Patreon, and it doesn't have an author's name. It doesn't tell them the title or anything about it. They just have to read the synopsis and pick which one they think sounds the best to them. And whichever one has the most votes goes into the next episode, and the other ones get held back for a little bit. They always pick the most interesting book out of the group, so I'm always excited to see what they choose, and I'm never let down. So for this one, for the very first book, they picked The Crows, and this is by C.M. Rosens, and this is a body/gothic horror. And this was also a Romancing the Gothic book club pick. There's a little paragraph here that I wanted to read that's from the description. It says, The Crows is a gothic paranormal novel for fans of haunted houses, eldritch monsters, and things that go bump in the night. Content warning for psychological abuse, body horror, gore, strong language, and scenes of unsettling nature. So this book is about a woman named Carrie, and she's kind of starting over in her life. She's just left this abusive relationship, and she has decided to restore this old house. It's called Fairwood House, but to the locals of Pagham-on-the-Sea, it's known as The Crows. She starts to become very impassioned with this. Restoring this house is going to be probably all of the distraction that she needs, and she can focus on something and leave her past behind. But she becomes to be very obsessed with this house because she learns that it was a site of a cold case. Carrie begins to look into this cold case. She needs to know what happened. And apparently there was a child who was stuffed up into a chimney in the kitchen in the 1950s. All of her digging around is causing something to happen in the house. Meanwhile, she has this neighbor named Ricky. And Ricky claims to be a medium of some sort. He can see into the future. But he also has a secret, that there is something down in the basement that Ricky has that Carrie wants to know what it is. But the two of them do share something, and that is an obsession with this house. So it seems like Ricky wants to help her, but is it sincere, or does he have other motives? So obviously there's a lot of really cool things going on in this synopsis, which is like, you know, there's this woman who's starting over and she wants to restore this house, which, you know, restoring a house is always going to reveal something, you know, secrets, something. And then she stumbles across a murder that actually happened in the house. And that gets her going. Like, I guess maybe she goes from one obsession to a next, who knows? But she's very, very into this, wants to know what it's about. And then she meets this guy, Ricky, who can see into the future, which too bad he can't see into the past. I feel like that would be more useful. So I wonder how that's going to work. And, you know, what is his, like, what's his deal? And also this mention of like eldritch monsters. Like, I wonder how that's gonna fit into this story. So it has a lot of things here I think that are really cool. So like I said, patrons know what they're doing. The next story is Sleep Training. This is a novella. It was the inaugural winner of the Gasling Novella Prize. Congratulations. And this is a haunted house / paranormal book. The story is about Eluned and Mark and their new baby. They have just purchased this house. They are a young family and they needed to move so that they could be closer to Mark's work. But while Mark is at work doing whatever he does, Eluned is at home with the baby and she's lonely. You know, she doesn't have any friends there. She doesn't have a job. There's no resources. She's just kind of home with the baby all day. And she's beginning to have a lot of these existential questions about her life and her marriage because her marriage is volatile. At some point, she notices that the baby is staying awake at night when it shouldn't be. And she begins to believe that there's actually something keeping him awake. And soon there is a series of terrible secrets that crawl out from between the cracks. So the one thing I guess I think about this book is like, I wonder what the sleep training is, because that's the name of the book, and it's saying that there's something keeping her baby up at night. So what does sleep training actually mean in this book? Is it training the mother to stay asleep while it keeps the baby up? Maybe. The Daniel Gates Adventures Volume 1. This is a collection of 2 novellas. The first one is The Lucifer Glass, and the other one is The Leper Window. This series definitely has vibes of like Constantine, you know, a little bit. So I think that's what really interests me in these. So in the first one, The Lucifer Glass, we get to meet Daniel Gates. He's a professional facilitator, which means he can get you anything you want. Anything you want for a price, of course. In his most recent gig, he is sent to Scotland to trade a bottle of whiskey for this rare demonic text. And the whiskey is like special, okay? It's not just like Tullamore Dew or, you know, Jack Daniels or something. It's like real special. And once he gets this grimoire or whatever it is, he begins to read it. And he starts to learn about the Lucifer Glass and the green-eyed demons that protect it. And at some point, this puts him in a position to where he's facing off with these demons. And so while he's fighting for his soul, he's also realizing there's something a little bit more to this whole entire gig that he did than he thought. In the second story, The Leper Window, Daniel is definitely suffering from some PTSD from fighting these demons, which, I mean, yeah, I could totally understand that. So he's having nightmares, he can't sleep. And at some point there's a client who requests of him to get these pages that had been torn out of a different grimoire. And when he gets his hands on these pages, he realizes that they're very dangerous. So of course, this is presenting an issue, and he finds himself again confronted with more demons. So you definitely can see where like the Constantine vibe sort of comes in here, and it's like this demon noir thing. Like, I love this, you know? I mean, he's not a detective, but he's definitely like someone who's like going out on a job, trying to get information or find things or something for somebody else. And it's fun. Like, I love this type of thing. It always depends, you know, how it's written and if you vibe with the character and all that kind of stuff, but it sounds pretty fun. There's also a volume 2 of this that has 2 other novellas. Now, the next one also deals with demons, and this is called The Miracle Sin by Marcus Hawke. This is a supernatural paranormal story. And this character, Mason Cole, is grappling with, you know, kind of like those questions of life. Like, does it have meaning? Is there any greater meaning? You know, does it matter? And Mason has a hard time with this because if there was a greater meaning to life, then why is his whole entire family dead? Good question. But one day there is a stranger who comes into town. You can imagine it. You know, he comes into town, there's some tumbleweeds blowing, and he meets up with Mason. He like gives this totally different interpretation of Mason's past, which for Mason, he's just like, I don't know if I'm really buying it. You know, I don't know if this really makes any sense. But at some point, Mason becomes, what's the word? I guess targeted by a demon who wants to use him for his own nefarious gain. Mason must uncover the truth to survive in a world where darkness no longer conceals what lies within. What I like about this story is it's like you have this character who has lost the meaning of life, I guess, and then it's this perfect opportunity for like demons to be like,
Did you say you lost the meaning of life? What's up?
So those were the 4 books for this episode. I hope that you found something here that you like. And don't forget to follow the authors on their social media. What's really cool about indie authors or indie musicians or stuff like that is like, you can kind of like start with them at the beginning and just like follow their path and like watch them, you know, accomplish whatever they need to accomplish. It's really cool. And also too, it's like you get to be there in the beginning, which is pretty awesome. So that is all from me. Please take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and I will talk to you next time.